We are back with the Sprinter, and in this video we're going to be installing an auxiliary transmission cooler. I already did my research, and by research I mean I took this grill off. It's really 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts. You pull up and out to see if I can put it there. Sad news, I can't put it in front. You might be able to make it out, you might not, but there is a fan right here, and same thing for this side. There are 2 fans. If I had a little narrower, if I had like a narrower unit, like both ways narrower, or like half the size maybe, or half this size, I could have maybe put it down into here because there is a small enough, maybe enough room down there, but I got a bigger cooler, so can't really do that. However, under here, if we pull this off, pull all of that off, we do see that there is quite a bit of room. So I'm going to be installing my cooler behind the fan shroud. I looked it up in the instruction manual and they said I can do this, it's just not going to be as efficient. If it was in the very front, I would have 100% efficiency in between radiators, between things, it would be part of that, and at the very end, if it was behind the main radiator, it's going to be only 60%, which is pretty good considering the fact how big this thing is. Like it's pretty big. So we need to get this guy off because we need to somehow get him mounted into there, and we will need to be removing this line right here. This is the return line to the transmission. That's another thing we need to remove. So without further going, let's get this guy off. So at this point, I am being very optimistic, thinking to myself, hey, this is easy. This is, we're still taking a few things apart. I had no idea what I was getting into. Further on in the video, you will see that I start taking more and more and more stuff apart. Later on, I'll explain what I was doing and why I was doing it. Okay, as you see, we did some disassembly. So we removed 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, and that got that piece off for us. And you just pull up from there. We removed 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts right there. Then we need to pry off right here, and down here there's another clip right there, and that'll get you this guy loose, and that'll give you access to the 1 bolt that's down under there. It's right in there, right there. Make it easier to access this bolt right here, and then you have a bolt right here, here, and then one down there. To move this thing, just press in on the tab and you can pull it out. Why I did that? I need room to cut these things to size. So once I put the cooler in, those pieces, they'll be protruding probably out through here. So I'll need to snip them so that they don't hit the fan. And so you see, like, this is the fan shroud. It literally touches this cooler right here. Not a lot I can do there. However, to get this piece off, you have 1 clip right there. There's a clip right there. I don't know if you can see, make it out in the video. The sun's like really bad. You can kind of see the tip of it's right there. That's 1 clip. And there's a second clip right down in there. You can kind of see it right there in the sun. Right, can't really point, there's not that much room. Right there, this is the second clip. You push on that one, and then lift up slightly, and that will move the shroud out of the way, giving you room to think of where you want to put the cooler. One thing to point out, depending how I want to do this, I might actually even put it up somewhere around here. Let me show you why. So I bought these 90-degree adapters right here. So once it goes in, it technically if you look at it, it will be in the shroud. So so depending where I want to put it, I can actually put the auxiliary cooler pretty high up. It doesn't have to be at the very bottom. The other thing that's worth mentioning is I'm gonna have to drill holes in the shroud. I need to drill two holes, one on top, one on bottom, or just have two side by side, because pretty much I need one hose coming out from here, and I need another one coming back into here. Haven't really thought that through yet, how I want to do that, but let's take this piece off right here, get a paper towel ready, we'll take it off, and then we can have some room to look around what we want to do. Okay, to remove this line, we need to remove this protective cover. And now we have a clip. Using a flathead screwdriver, where we're just going to push right there on the little lobe. Okay, I got one side unclipped. For the second side, we're going to try to grab this with needle nose pliers, because these clips, they do fly away. Actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to put a towel right underneath it, a paper towel, like so. And now, using the tip of the screwdriver, we're going to pry the other end off. That little thing, don't lose it. You might have to make a trip to the parts store to buy a new one. With that part out, towel underneath, we can pull out this piece right here. There's quite a bit of fluid coming out of here. Might need more than one towelette, but at least now with that out, we have access. We can put in the adapter thing. Okay guys, so after a little bit of thinking, I'm going to be putting this 90-degree piece, 90-degree bend, I'm going to point it facing down, and then further down, I know the room's not a lot, right under this clip right here, I will drill a hole right under it. And then a little further down, right above the second shroud, I will drill a second hole. Okay, you can't really see where my finger's pointing, but in between the two, in between this piece and the second piece right down here, I'm going to drill the two holes. And then I will figure out, I'll have a better idea of where I could put the cooler. I will be drilling a 1-inch hole. Reason being is hose is going to go through, and then I want to have additional hose wrapping it so that it acts as kind of like a bumper to keep it from premature wear. So I'm going to drill the holes off camera. Okay guys, got the holes drilled. They're kind of ugly, but I'm working on fitment right now. Is the camera even sliding on? You can see I have the second unradiated, the auxiliary cooler right there. So I'm thinking it's going to be somewhere right about lined up with this thing. So what I'm probably going to do right now, I'm not going to mount it right now. First thing I'm going to do is actually get the hoses routed, and then I'm going to mount it. So let's start working on the hoses. You can't really see it in there, but it's in there. Okay, with the hose attached, we can kind of put this thing back down where we want it to be. We have it kind of spaced where it needs to be. The hose is routed out, and now all I'm going to do is eyeball it where the hose is going to connect to the 90-degree point right there. So here's where we're at. This is the short side of the hose. This is going to go to the part that connects to the radiator, and this long part, it still needs to be cut. This is going to attach to the return line, so we still need to feed this part through and, you know, cut it to size. So I'm going to do that off camera because I think you kind of get what I'm doing. One issue that I found using the factory harness things, whatever, this is what it comes with. This does not fit through the stock, through the Sprinter's cooler fins. Zip ties it is. We have a few holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, however many holes you need. I'm probably going to attach it on 3 holes and call it good. Once I get it all more or less wired up, I'll show you what I did. Okay guys, so this project has made a really bad turn. Problem is, I can't get the zip tie in between the 2 radiators. I didn't really think that through, and I can't take this thing off. So what we're gonna do, as you notice, it's been taken apart. I took off the grill piece, I pulled out the radiator fan. Pretty much you just unhook this after you have these 3 bolts off. You unhook this and then you just lift it up and pull it out through here. So pretty much what I need to do is get this thing loosened up so I can take this guy off. And the reason I can't take him off is because he's already touching this. I don't have room to take it off. And from what I see, there's 1 bolt here, 1 bolt there, and then there are at least 2 down there. There's probably more. With my luck, there's probably more. But we might need to take off the headlights. I'm gonna hold off taking off the headlights, but if anything, there's 1, 2 bolts, and then there's a 3rd one right down in there. Worst case, I'll have to take those off, but for now, let's just try taking off these 6 bolts. Okay guys, so I had to remove the headlight bolts, remove the bolt down up there, remove the 2 bolts down there, removed 1 from there, and removed these headlight bolts, and I was able to pull this thing far back enough to unclip this guy. With this guy unclipped, I was able to get the zip ties in. So as you can see, or maybe cannot see, well, you can kind of see, there's 1 zip tie, there's another zip tie, and there's 1 more 2 down there, further down. So honestly, this sucked. This turned out to be way more work than what I wanted to do. we got everything assembled, got the new clamps on, everything's clamped on, everything's connected. Last thing to do, we need to add transmission fluid. We added cooler, we added extra hosing, we need to add extra transmission fluid. To add transmission fluid, you have the fill plug right there. It's right there. So right between the oil dipstick and the reservoir, you have your transmission fluid fill. There should be a little cap here that you're supposed to break off. I already broke it off, so pretty much just pull up and that's off. That's what it looks like. There's a cap that goes right here. I broke it off already, so whatever. Another thing, might be easier to loosen this 30mm bolt so you can move the reservoir out of the way. That way you can get a funnel in there. So here's the procedure. We're going to start the van. We're going to put it into neutral. Then using a dipstick that's supposed to be used for the transmission, we're going to put the dipstick in and we're going to try to get the oil level. A lot of people have a hard time checking transmission fluid levels because there is no stopper on the dipstick. You kind of have to do it by feel. So there's going to be a few turns, and pretty much the last stop that you feel is the final stop. Don't push it further, because if you push it further, you're going to just push it right into transmission and your results are going to be off. So the last stop, which is about 2 inches from the red handle's going to be about 2 inches, an inch or two from the lip of this. That is when you're done. At that point, check the fluid. If you're adding fluid, which you will have to be adding, one thing to point out is that you will need to give it some time to settle it down, because the residue that's going to be left over from adding it, it can throw off your results. That's just something to point out. So let's get it going. As you can see, the transmission is overfilled. It should be in the range marked 25 degrees Celsius. This was a cold start and the ambient temperature was about 70 degrees. 25 Celsius is about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So I was within the correct temp range. I just overfilled the transmission. Okay guys, so as you just saw, I overdid the oil. There's a little bit too much in there, which means I need to drain it out. That kind of sucks, but you live, you learn, you get moving. So this project, this is probably one of my worst quality videos, because it should have only taken me, I was expecting like 2 hours. I ended up spending close to 6 hours on this. And because of where I live and my rental agreement, I can't just take the whole vehicle apart and leave it taken apart. That's why I didn't go through everything. In an ideal world where I have a lot more time, I would have probably taken off this support bracket, and that would have made it a little bit easier to push the zip ties through. I didn't have that opportunity, so I had to do what I had to do. But after doing this job, I now realize why there's not a lot of videos on how to do this, because it is a pain in the butt. And it's very hard to film what you're doing. But I hope you guys got some information out of this, something to maybe help you out. Thank you guys for watching.